Continuing from last time, I will teach you about general. The SNMP search option is configured in NAC to collect switch names and port information via SNMP search. It requires entering authentication details based on the SNMP community and security level of the target devices, so prior information must be verified. The detection option includes the following configurations. Lookup reverse DNS determines whether to use reverse DNS queries to resolve an IP address into a host name. Additionally, it allows configuring whether to search for device names based on the resolved IP addresses. Reporting unknown platform configures whether to automatically report node information to the vendor when NAC fails to detect the platform during platform identification. Network update interval sets the frequency for performing network scans to classify node types. The interval can be configured from a minimum of 1 minute to a maximum of 1 year. Auto-confirm detected. Platform automatically sets the initially detected platform information as confirmed. This serves as a preventive measure when platform updates in the GPDB, Global Platform Database, result in changes to the node type. The lifetime section allows you to configure the periods for delete node with outdated IP and delete reserved node. IP change node deletion configures the retention period for previously used IP resources, excluding the last used IP based on the device. Entering 0 disables the feature. The period can be set from a minimum of 1 hour to a maximum of 1 year. Delete reserved node configures the period after which reserved IP settings are deleted if no nodes use the reserved IP within the specified time. Entering 00 disables the feature. The minimum period is 1 hour. The registration section allows you to configure whether to register NAT IP addresses as nodes. NAC can detect NAT by identifying port and source IP information in IP packets before they are rewritten to NAT IP addresses via the agent. Based on this information, you can configure whether NAT IP addresses should be registered as nodes. The redirection section allows you to configure the following options: HTTP port, HTTPS port, user agent string, and redirection exception IP. HTTP port specifies the HTTP protocol port used by web browsers for redirection to forcefully display the captive web portal. HTTPS port specifies the HTTPS protocol port used by web browsers for redirection to forcefully display the captive web portal. User agent string configures redirection to the captive web portal by verifying if the starting string of the web browser's user agent header matches the configured value. Redirection exception IP specifies IP addresses exempt from HTTP and HTTPS redirection. The IP utilization section allows you to configure whether unused IPs should be included in the node group. They are included only in node groups created with specific conditions such as IP address, IP management, sensor, policy group, up-down status, or node group. To apply this setting, you must perform service control, apply policy. The port scan section allows adding or removing TCP ports used to detect services running on nodes. By default, 154 well-known TCP ports are configured. If custom services need to be detected, the corresponding ports can be added for detection. The IP request section provides 18 configurable options for basic settings in the IPAM, as listed below. The IP request option creates a connection link button on the captive web portal, allowing blocked entities under the IP management policy to access the IP request system. The lifetime option sets a time period for automatically denying submitted requests if they are not approved or denied within a specified time frame. The IP scope option configures the pool of IPs that can be allocated upon request approval. The assignable IP resources include unused IPs. Only unused IPs can be selected. Unused and blocked IPs. Both unused IPs and IPs denied by IP management policies can be selected. Here's the updated version with the suggested change. The IP scope option configures the pool of IPs that can be allocated upon request approval. The assignable IP resources include IP available. Only available IP can be selected. IP available or denied. Both available IP and IPs denied by IP management policies can be selected. The criteria for IP lease option sets the basis for selecting the IP to assign upon request approval. The criteria for IP allocation include 1. Network sensor. Select a network sensor based on the network location. 2. Department. Select based on the department of the user submitting the request. For department-based IP assignment, the department configuration must specify a network range. The guest user request option enables users without an NAC login account to submit IP usage requests. If a user does not have an NAC login account, they can select the Guest User Request option in the IP request system to apply for IP usage. The Login Approval Code option configures IP usage to be based on an approval code. Upon application approval, an approval code is issued to the IP request system user via SMS, allowing them to use the IP by entering the code during network access. The permission option configures account restrictions for logging into the IP request system. Restricted accounts can be limited to IP administrators only, or it can be set to allow access to all users without restrictions. The results restriction setting defines the range of request accept rejection results that IP administrators can access. The scope options include results allowed for IP manager. Allows IP administrators to view only the results within the IP management range assigned to them. All results. Grants IP administrators access to view all request results. Results based on requester username. Limits IP administrators to viewing request results registered under their own ID. The approval comment setting enforces administrators to provide a reason when accepting or rejecting a request. If a reason is not entered for accept or reject, the process cannot be completed. The keeping value setting allows users to maintain input fields when submitting multiple requests, reducing the need for repetitive data entry. The autofill for request setting enables or disables the functionality to automatically requester or user information in the IP request form during the submission process. The multiple request setting is configured when an Excel-based bulk request form is used to register multiple IP usage requests simultaneously. To upload the multiple requests, navigate to the IPAM menu in the Preferences. In the Multiple Requests section, upload the request form and then click the Update button to complete the configuration successfully. The company logo setting allows you to change the logo displayed in the upper left corner when users log in to the IP request system. The custom CSS style sheet file option allows you to configure the IP request system style using a CSS file. You can upload a file with a CSS extension to customize and modify the IP request system style. The result notification option is configured to send the results of accepted or rejected request to requesters and users via email and SMS. The Message for Login Page option is configured to display a message at the top of the login screen for the IP request system. The login page. Header, custom header option is configured to use a custom HTML header value at the top of the login screen for the IP request system. The IP policy consists of 5 configurable items. The lease-ended options item allows you to configure how nodes are processed when the allocated usage time for an IP or MAC address expires. The available handling options include deleting the expired target or blocking it using the IP policy. The lease-ended notification item configures whether to send an alert before deleting or blocking a node when the allocated usage time for an IP or MAC address is about to expire. Setting this value to 0 disables the expiration notification. The notification period can be configured to a minimum of 1 minute and a maximum of 1 year. The preventions. Lease. Priority item configures whether the special policies of IP management, timeout, conflict prevention, and change prevention take precedence over IP MAC blocking policies. When enabled, even if an IP or MAC address is blocked, the special policy will override the block and remain active. The network scope for same host names configures the scope for limiting the use of identical host names on user devices. The restriction scope can either be limited to the network where the user device is located, or extended to include all networks where a network sensor is installed. The description option configures the system to require a reason when performing IP MAC policy operations in the Management node menu. The Request Page Options option allows you to configure individual help sections and the columns to be displayed for each menu in the IP request system. The Notice option configures the messages displayed in the Notice section of the IP request system. The WLAN section allows for 4 configurable settings. AP down detection configures the system to change the status of a wireless AP to down if it remains undetected for a specified time. Default time, 10 minutes. Range, minimum 1 minute to a maximum of 1 hour. AP deletion automatically deletes wireless APs that haven't been reported for a specified period. Default time, 3 days. Range, minimum 1 day to a maximum of 1 year. Connection history deletion deletes connection records if no activity is detected for the configured period. Default time, 3 days. Range, minimum 1 day to a maximum of 1 year. Internal AP detection configures internal AP detection for networks without network sensors and enables or disables the use of virtual MAC addresses for internal AP detection. The Log section allows you to configure the following options. Remarks column. Elements selects additional information fields to be recorded during node logging. Generating node status logs. Configures the system to save the UP down status history of nodes. Generating agent status logs configures the system to save the UP down status history of agents. The SNMP trap section allows you to configure the operation of the SNMP agent. It provides the necessary Genie and MEEPs for transmitting SNMP traps and allows you to set the community string to be used when receiving SNMP traps. The syslog options section configures filters to determine which data received via syslog from external sources will be saved as log. The Web Console section allows you to configure up to 16 different items. The Console Name section allows you to configure the text displayed in the Management Console and the Agent Tray icon title. The character limit is 24 for Korean and 30 for English. The Sorting Tree View section configures the tree sorting method for node, network, and WLAN management screens. Sorting options include display name sorting and manual sorting. The Displaying Available IP option configures whether to include unused IPs in the node count displayed on the tree view in the management menu. If unused IP inclusion is not enabled, only the count of actively used nodes is displayed. Language option configures the display languages available for the management screen. Supported languages include English, Korean, Chinese, and Japanese. To change the management screen language, administrators must select the desired language during the login process. The Date Format item allows you to configure how dates are displayed in the management console. Dates can be displayed using the following 11 patterns. The Time Format item allows you to configure how time is displayed in the management console. Time can be displayed using the following 2 patterns. The Company Logo for Web Console option allows you to decide whether to use a custom logo for the management console. When the logo is updated, the custom logo will appear in the upper left corner of the console after the administrator logs in. The Number of Nodes option sets the default number of rows displayed per page on the screen. You can select from 30, 50, 100, 150, 200, or 255 rows per page, with the default set to 50 rows. The Session Timeout option configures the session timeout duration, in minutes, for the admin console. You can set it between a minimum of 3 minutes and a maximum of 10 minutes, with the default value set to 10 minutes. The Message for Login Page option configures the text displayed on the admin login screen. When this option is set, the specified message will appear at the top of the admin login screen. The Two-Step Authentication Set method option configures whether to enable security authentication for two-factor authentication. Available methods for two-factor authentication include SMS and Google OTP, Google Authenticator. The Find Username, Reset Password option configures authentication methods for recovering administrator account IDs and passwords. For ID recovery, available methods include email and SMS. For password recovery, methods include email, SMS, and security questions. The verification code valid time sets the duration for which an issued authentication code can be used during the ID and password recovery process. The validity period can be configured to a minimum of 30 seconds and a maximum of 5 minutes, with the default set to 3 minutes. The Number of Condition settings configures the number of conditions displayed on the policy, group, and object management screens. The Web Console section allows you to configure 16 different settings. The Dashboard Report Title section is used to set the title of the document generated during dashboard export. The CLI Banner section is used to configure the banner displayed upon CLI access. The Generate CSR section is used to configure the creation of a CSR required to obtain an SSL certificate from a CA. Configuration items include domain name. Enter the domain name to be used in the web browser for service access. Country code. Input the 2-letter country code. Organization name. Specify the company or organization name to be displayed on the certificate. Email address. Provide the email address to be used as the contact information. Once the required details are entered, proceed with generating the CSR. The Register Certificate section is used to input a certificate issued in PEM format by an external certificate authority using a CSR. After registering the issued certificate, restart the system to apply the certificate. In NAC, when performing a backup, the backup targets include the MySQL database containing policy and node information, as well as the Elasticsearch database storing logs, along with device configuration data. Logs stored in Elasticsearch are excluded from the generated backup compressed file due to storage capacity constraints. In the detailed settings for backup execution, you can configure the backup schedule for periodic backups. To prevent disk full issues caused by multiple backup files, you can enable the space threshold option. The repository type section allows you to configure the storage location for backup files. Available repository types include local disk, external storage, CIFS, NFS, FTP, SFTP. The Agent General section allows you to configure 12 specific items. The Installation Path section specifies the installation path for the agent. The agent will be installed in the Genian folder under the configured path. If no path is provided, the default installation directory will be Program Files, Genie, Genian. The user confirmation before installing setting determines whether a user confirmation step is required before installing the agent. Based on user confirmation, the agent installation will proceed. The Display Installation Progress setting determines whether to show the progress of the agent installation process. If installation progress is not displayed, the agent will be installed in the background. The Registering Installation Information section allows you to choose whether to register the agent's installation details in the Uninstall or change a program section of the control panel. The Agent Deletion method allows you to configure one of three options. Use authorization code. Uninstallation is possible by issuing an authorization code that matches the agent code on the device one-to-one. Without authorization code, allows the agent to be uninstalled from the device without requiring an authorization code upon request. Not allowed, prevents the uninstallation of the agent entirely. The automatic update target specifies the networks where the NAC agent will be updated. When a newer version of the agent is uploaded to the policy server, devices within the designated auto-update network range will be automatically updated to the uploaded version. However, devices outside the specified target network range will not receive the update. The service target group defines the network ranges where the NAC agent is allowed to operate. If a user's device is connected to a network range that is not included in the service target network, the NAC agent will not function. The Specify whether to display View My Status on the Agent Tray menu configures which groups can access the View My Status option in the Agent Tray icon menu. Groups included in this configuration will be able to use the View My Status feature from the Tray icon menu. In the Web Browser Types configuration, you can specify the browser that opens URLs displayed as links in the Agent Tray icon menu. By default, the system's default browser is selected. If you prefer to use a specific browser, you can manually enter the full path to its executable file. The Agent Custom Icon setting allows you to change the tray icon displayed when the agent is installed on user devices. You can use files with the .ico extension for the custom icon. Once a custom icon is applied, it will always display as the fixed icon, regardless of the authentication status. The Keep Alive interval configures the interval at which the NAC agent sends Keep Alive signals. It can be set to a minimum of 30 seconds and a maximum of 10 minutes. The Keep Alive interval is directly related to the transition of the agent to a down state. If the policy server fails to receive 5 consecutive Keep Alive packets within the configured interval, it will mark the agent status as down. The Scheduling Agent Restart determines the time threshold for handling sleep mode events on user devices. If a device exits sleep mode after the set sleep mode restart time, the NAC agent interprets it as an operating system restart. This triggers re-authentication and activates plugins related to system boot and restart events. The CA certificate setting registers the certificate issued by the policy server as a trusted root certification authorities on the client devices. Before configuring the Windows Update settings, let me provide a brief introduction to the basic update process. In a Windows operating system, the Windows Update Agent, WA, sends the update status from the client to the Windows Update Server, WS, to check for the latest available updates. If updates are found, the WUA requests the update files from the WS. The updates are then downloaded, installed, and the process is completed. The Windows Update configures the Windows Update Agent, WUA, to communicate with the Windows Update Server, WUS, to check for the latest updates. The available search methods include Windows Update Server, WSUS Server, Offline PMS. Choose the method that best suits your organizational environment. Windows Update Server and WSUS Server are used when there is internet connectivity or when a WSUS server is available in the internal network. Offline PMS is used when external communication is not possible and there is no WSUS server in the internal network. This method allows updates to be performed via NAC in isolated environments. The Download from Microsoft WSUS option configures the NAC agent to only execute the Windows Update process. The update search and download are performed directly through Microsoft WSUS. The NAC connection for download option configures the NAC agent to execute Windows Update, with update searches performed through Microsoft WSUS. However, the updates are downloaded via the NAC server set as a proxy using its representative IP to interact with Microsoft WSUS. When downloading, a cache server is utilized. If an update file has already been downloaded once, subsequent downloads are performed from the cache without requesting it again from Microsoft WSUS. For the NAC connection to function, the proxy service must be enabled under System by selecting the relevant device and configuring the settings in the Appliance tab. This setting configures the NAC agent to handle Windows updates, where both the update search and download are routed through the NAC server's proxy, represented by its primary IP address, to connect to Microsoft WSUS. During the download process, a cache server is activated. If the update file has been downloaded previously, it will be retrieved from the cache without making additional requests to Microsoft WSUS. The download plus search via NAC connection method requires the proxy service to be enabled under System by selecting the specific device and configuring it in the Settings tab. The Internet Access section is an option configured to enable the policy server to update the latest operational data from the company's update server and to utilize features like SMS alerts. If the policy server resides in an isolated network, this option is not used. When a proxy server is required for internet connectivity, configure the proxy server settings by entering the server IP. The file size setting defines the maximum file size that can be uploaded via the policy server's WebUI. The unit is megabytes, and the default size is set to 100 megabytes. The Center Domain Name setting allows you to specify a domain name for accessing the policy server WebUI. This is used when you want to access the WebUI via a domain name instead of an IP address. The NAT IP for policy server setting is configured when the policy server is located behind NAT and requires a separate IP address for access. The mail server setting configures the mail server for sending emails to administrators and users. Standard email protocols, such as SMTP, can be used, and emails can also be sent through Google Mail Server authentication. The SMS service section configures the sender's number for SMS transmissions to administrators and users. For domestic SMS, a primary sender number can be configured. For international SMS, the sender's number is based on the numbers configured for administrator and user accounts. Without a configured sender number, SMS messages cannot be sent. The Genian Data Settings section configures the synchronization of operational data between the policy server and the Genian Update server. The inspection interval for detecting changes in operational data can be set between a minimum of 1 hour and a maximum of 30 days. With automatic update settings, any newly added operational information will be synchronized to ensure the data remains up to date. The Google API Client ID and Authentication Key Settings section is used to configure the integration with Google Cloud Platform for sending Google Mail and connecting with G Suite.